Hey guys, welcome to Grow. Today we are starting the book of First Thessalonians. So I'm doing First Thessalonians 1 for y'all. It's kind of just another of Paul's intro letters, writing to the church, telling him how he's praying for them and thanking God for them. And so yeah. The verses that I wanted to touch on were 6 through 9, I believe. Yeah. Before this, Paul's talking about how him and Silas and Timothy brought them the gospel and how it came not only with words but with the power of the Holy Spirit and conviction, and they just kind of soaked it up and just totally accepted it and just ate it up. And verse 6 says, you became imitators of us and of the Lord. In spite of severe suffering, you welcomed the message with the joy given by the Holy Spirit. And so you became a model to all the believers in Macedonia and Achaia? Maybe we'll go with that. The Lord's message rang out from you not only in Macedonia and Achaia. Your faith in God has become known everywhere. Therefore, we do not need to say anything about it, for they themselves report to us what kind of reception you gave us. They tell how you turned to God from idols to serve the living and true God. So, yeah. I picked that little part just because that's such like an awesome testimony for the church at Thessalonica. Like for Paul to say that, you know, their testimony like went before them is it just speaks really highly of them, and I think that's what we need to really strive for as Christians, not to be the obnoxious religious people who are trying to shove religion down everyone's throats, or you know, getting out and preaching on our soapboxes or whatever. I think it's demonstrating, like, you know, we should be so full of the joy of the Holy Spirit and so full of the Lord that our lives speak for themselves. Like, our faith speaks for itself. We don't have to necessarily go out and preach the gospel or, you know, go scream from some podium or do something ridiculous. But our lives should be our testimony, and the Lord should shine through us, whatever we're doing, regardless. Our actions should speak louder than our words, and I think that touches people so much more than just talking and preaching at them. And hey, I moved locations, but I wasn't finished yet, so I'm gonna keep talking at you, if that's alright. So anyways, along with what I was saying, I think that there are those people who have the calling, you know, to be evangelists or to be missionaries or to be those people who go out and proclaim the gospel in that specific way. But I know, I believe that we don't all have that calling. And yes, we are all called to preach the gospel, but I don't think that looks the same in every different person's life. At ORU, you know, we talk a lot about going into every person's world and, you know, reading that little slogan that's across the back of the chapel that we read every so often with Dr. Rutland, you know, going into every person's world and being the light and taking the gospel where it hasn't before been taken. And yes, that does mean taking it into different countries and to people groups that haven't heard it before, but that also means taking it into your specific sphere of influence. I think that you don't have to, how do I say this? You don't have to go into where you've been called with a big sign on your chest that says, hey, I'm a Christian and I'm here to get you all saved. Like, that's not what you would say anyways, but like, being like, I'm a Christian. Like, I don't feel like you have to go into it like with that, I don't know, approach. And not saying that it's something to be ashamed of, but I think since, unfortunately, Christianity has a lot of bad connotations and people have had a lot of bad experiences, that if you go into a situation and you're like, I'm a Christian, people will automatically write you off and won't want to be involved in your life and will classify you with those people that they associate Christianity with, whether it's true or not. And I think that we should I think that we should demonstrate Christ through what we do where we've been called. Just like the church in 1 Thessalonians, their actions precede themselves, and they were set apart, and they were obviously doing something right because their actions were giving glory to the Lord, and people were noticing. And I think that that's more along the lines of what we've been called to. This might just be a touchy subject for me as a Christian artist and a Christian dancer, because I've had a lot of experiences in the past where I haven't liked art in the church and I haven't liked dance in the church because I feel like unfortunately, it's become secondary almost. Like it's a step down creatively and in quality, which is really, really sad. And so I don't like, not necessarily not liking being associated with it, but I think that the church needs to really step it up. And I don't remember if it was in chapel or back at home at church, but someone was talking about Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and all the people that Nebuchadnezzar took to Babylon, and how Daniel set himself apart, and he was an example for all the other people, all the other young men that were taken, and he was distinguished. And that is what the church should be. We should be distinguished wherever we are, and we should be setting the trends and writing the best music and producing the best art and doing things with the most excellence, because we have the Holy Spirit and we have the creativity of the Lord. And so I think, I don't know, that's just kind of a pet peeve of mine, I guess, and kind of a touchy subject in a way, because I think we haven't been living up to our calling, and we need to be setting the example as the church and as Christians, and we've been failing at that. And so, yeah, that was more of a rant. I'm sorry. But I guess what I'm getting at is, regardless of where you've been called or what you've been called to, that calling is from the Lord, and He has charged us to do everything with excellence and to live lives that are worthy of the calling of Christ, and to live above reproach, and to set an example both for the believers and non-believers. And so, in everything that we do, we need to really be striving for excellence and really be striving to make Christ known and to have Christ glorified through all that we do. And if that is the case, then people will notice, and people will detect that something is different and that something is better than what the world has to offer, and I think that is more what will draw people to Christ than some of the other methods that are being used. People want someone who is relatable and who is approachable, and not someone who's holier than thou and beating them over the head with their Bibles and whatever. Because really, relationship is what draws people to the Lord, and that can't really happen if we're... I don't know where I was going with that. Relationship is the instrument. It is the tool. Yeah. We have to be relatable people and distinguished people of excellence. Yeah. That was like 16 different thoughts. I'm really sorry. But, yeah. So in the conclusion, I suppose, do things with excellence, or have you been called? Really strive to connect relationally with people and to just treat them like Christ did. You know, in 1 John 2:6 it says, if we claim to live, if we claim to be, I have to look it up. It's really sad because I have this verse totally memorized and it's one of my faves. And yeah, 2:6. Whoever claims to live in Him must walk as Jesus did there. So, just getting down where the people are and getting into every sphere of influence, every person's world, not being afraid to touch the untouchable people because we're better than them in our minds, because we're not. Just being relatable and being Christ and being the body and being what the church was initially supposed to look like. So, those are a lot of thoughts. I hope it kind of made sense. I feel like I was like all over the board, but yeah, let's just be like Jesus, guys. Sounds great. Let's do things with excellence wherever we've been called. Good plan, good plan. Thanks for sticking with me. I will see you guys again on Monday. Have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend. Okay, goodbye.